With regard to the act relative to domestic violence, is anybody here aware that this act exists? Okay, we got a couple of ringers. So what we're going to do is ask you some questions on the true false. And the first one is with regard to this act, whether it requires, is this a true statement? Does it require employers with 50 or more employees to provide up to 15 days of unpaid leave in any 12-month period to employees impacted by domestic violence? True or false? How many people think it's true? And the rest of you think it's false? Well, the answer is true. So it does only apply if you have 50 employees or more. Under the Act, the question is whether an employee may be eligible for leave if the employee or a family member is a victim of abusive behavior, including domestic violence, stalking, sexual assault, and kidnapping. And how many of you think that it's true that an employee or family member, if they are a victim of abuse, the employee is entitled to get leave? Okay. You would be right. So a family member is very broadly drafted, and one thing that's not highlighted here in the definition of a family member is it includes a fiancé or a person that's in a relationship, a substantive relationship, and living together. So you can see the extent here. It's a spouse, parent, stepchild, sibling, grandparent, grandchild. If any of those individuals are victims of abuse, the employee who's related to them can get time off to deal with the abuse. The employee must provide documentation, and the statute gives specific examples of the type of documentation that can be provided in order to establish the right to leave. And again, that's if the employer requests it. So the employee doesn't necessarily have to come forth and give it, and the employee may be able to take the leave prior to giving you notice and then follow up with notice. So now, what's the significance if there is a failure to comply with the statute? And the question is, does the employee have a right to file an action against the employer for violations and get injunctive relief or damages, including lost wages and benefits? Which of you out there think that this is true or false? Who thinks it's true? Nobody? All right. All you think it's false, that the employer has no rights to sue you if you violate the statute? Well, it's true that the employee can. It's similar to the same rights you have if an employer violates a wage statute and fails to pay wages. The employee is entitled to sue, and if successful and prevails, entitled to recover treble damages based on lost wages and other benefits, and recover attorney's fees and the cost of litigation. So that's a brief snapshot of the Act. Any quick questions before I pass the baton? Yes?
Is that Massachusetts or federal?
This is Massachusetts. Applies to Massachusetts employers.